Afternoon. Welcome, everybody.
Buenos días.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Let's wait for 3 more minutes so that more people can join in. Thank you so much for being here today. I think that for most of us is morning, but some people are joining from Europe. So good afternoon also. We're going to wait just for a few minutes so that we can start today's session. I think we'll start. Again, welcome on behalf of the practice community on bioenergy for Latin America and the Caribbean, an initiative from the regional platform strategy of low emission lead slag. Today is one of the activities of the community of practice. We have a presentation based on a study from the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, in regards to the pathway to decarbonize the shipping sector by 2050, with an emphasis on the potential of biofuels in this process of decarbonization. So let's go ahead, and before we start, thank you. We would like to let you know that we have a simultaneous translation. You can see at the bottom of the screen, it says interpretation. Right there, you can choose the channel and the language you would like to listen to the presentation. So thank you very much, and let's go ahead before we start. And for those that are here with us for the first time, I would like to let you know this is the first community in the regional platform framework. Let's like our methodology is based in the peer-to-peer learning. We facilitate the exchange and dialogue, usually in small groups of people that work around a subject or a topic, and we learn from what is happening in the countries in regards to the development of bioenergy, and also through technical support these national processes. From the group learning, we also generate knowledge products that then we share with our regional networks. The community of practice has the purpose of um, the development of policies framework and sustainable business models for the development of bioenergy in the Latin American region and the Caribbean. Some of the activities that we have this year, we are focusing on integrating bioenergy in the national strategies on energy and climate change. For this, we develop sessions like this one, where we disseminate information on innovative technology studies, business models, and tools for the development of bioenergy. And we also facilitate technical assistance to the members of the community of practice. I would like to say that from a selection process, we announced approximately a month ago, we are having conversations to start 3 processes of technical assistance and support for the formulation of investment projects related to bioenergy with 5 of the members of the community of practice. So in future sessions, we will be talking about this into more detail, about the beginning of these processes. We also develop reports, study cases, and we organize training with some of the partners, and we facilitate the dialogue and the exchange, the peer-to-peer exchange. So we leave the link to our website right there, where you are going to be able to find recordings from previous sessions and some materials that we have developed. Okay, let's go ahead, please. Many of you know me already. I've been a coordinator of the community of practice since we started in 2016. Right now, we are starting a new phase with our new coordinator, Aida Lorenzo, uh, expert from Guatemala, expert on topics of biofuels and sustainable development in general. She's also been a member of the community of practice and the Let's Like platform. So in the future, Aida will be your link to the activities with the community of practice. So welcome, Aida. If you would like to go ahead. Thank you, Ana Maria. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the welcoming words. It's a pleasure for me to be here coordinating and working with the community. I've been here for over a year, and as a participant, it's helped me a lot. It's one of these communities that help us link and create synergies and create networks to exchange experiences, to know more people, to know how other countries work. So for me, it's a pleasure. Um, I'll be here. So thank you, Ana Maria, for the opportunity. And if there is anything, I'm here to help. Thank you, Aida. So please, Astrid, if you could go to the next slide. And I would like to tell you that if any of you that are here for the first time, if you would like to join the community of practice, you would like to share information in regards to an initiative or a tool or some success story, if you would like to request technical assistance or share resources, please contact Catherine Bocanegra to this email address, bioenergia@letslack.org. And after this introduction, then I would like to go to the core of today's event, which is Gabriel Castellanos' presentation. He is an associate program officer in the International Renewable Energies Agency, IRENA, uh, based on BOM. And he's going to talk today about the opportunities offered by the maritime transport decarbonization for Latin America and the Caribbean for the development of renewable energies with emphasis on biofuels. So, Gabriel, thank you so much for your willingness to share with us the results of Irena's work and your knowledge and your experience, your personal experience. So thank you so much. Um, we'll leave you with the presentation.
Muchas gracias, Ana
Thank you
María.
so much, Ana Maria. Thank you, Aida, for the invitation. Greetings, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I will start with a very quick video to give some dynamic to the presentation. So let me know if you can see it. Yes.
Bueno, con esto les dejo.
Yeah, I leave you with this. And I will share my screen again.
Ahí pueden ver la presentación.
Can you see the presentation there?
Sí, Gabriel, solo voy a hacer un anuncio en
Yeah, I'll just announce something in English.
Thank you for joining. If you need simultaneous translation, please look for the interpretation button in the lower part of your screen, and you will be able to access the English channel. Thank you for joining. Gracias, Gabriel. Adelante.
Thank you, Gabriel. Go ahead, please.
Pues muchas gracias nuevamente, Ana María.
Thank you again, Ana Maria. Welcome to all the participants. It's a pleasure to be with you. Before starting with my presentation, if you are not familiarized with us, we are an intergovernmental organization. We have 166 countries that are members. Our headquarters are in Abu Dhabi, but in Bonn, we had the Division of Innovation and Technological Development. We also have a permanent office in the UN. And our General Director, Francisco Lagamara, since 2020. So to summarize this report, Irena started this decarbonizing efforts in 2019. And since then, we've developed knowledge in the area, building partnerships and collaborations with the sector, as well as the stakeholders. So this work is divided in 4 parts. One, the first part analyzes the sector dynamics of the shipping sector, the level of development of the technologies and renewables that are linked to the shipping sector with potential to decarbonize the shipping sector. analysis to 2050 and how to align the development of the sector and its energy consumption so that we limit the global warming to 1.5 degrees, and we give recommendations on public policies to facilitate decarbonization. So very briefly, and before going to the core of the presentation, which is the potential of bioenergy, let's look at the sector very quickly. The shipping sector, the international shipping sector, it's key in regards to trade, imports, exports. So what we see during the years is that it's directly linked to the global GDP. If the GDP is affected, we see a similar behavior in regards to the energy consumption of the international shipping, sea shipping. While we adopt this type of measures at the operational and design level, we are going to see that little by little, that correlation that it's so close historically will start unlinking. There are still some steps that need to be done, but what I want to emphasize here is how this sector, it's a key sector in the economical development around the world for all the countries. If we analyze the sector, what we see is that 20% of the ships are responsible of 85% of carbon emissions. The ones that have containers and oil and gas and chemicals, they are the main contaminants, let's say, or that have an effect on the CO2. If we analyze globally what is the impact in regards to the CO2 emissions, it's 3% annually. It doesn't sound too big, but once we analyze, when we do a benchmarking or a comparison with the emissions from different countries, if the international transport sector would be one country, it would be the sixth or seventh biggest emission of CO2 compared to Germany, for example. So it's a sector that has a great impact in regards to global warming. So that's why we have global efforts to decarbonize this sector. An important topic here is that when we do the national energy balance and carbon emissions, of course, the shipping sector is not in this type of analysis. Historically, in the last COP, they paid more attention to this international shipping sector. It escapes the commitments somehow of the COP because it's not a country. So this is one of the difficulties in regards to decarbonizing the sector. But this provides several opportunities to the countries that are rich in renewable energies as suppliers of renewable energy products. So this route towards the decarbonization by 2050 to reduce the emissions in 80%, which would be the minimum, so that this is aligned with a pathway that limits the global warming in 1.5 degrees, we can divide it in 4 actions: the use of renewable, what is known as e-fuels. This will have a total participation, or would have a participation, or it would be 60% of the decarbonization solution. The biofuels are estimated in 3%, but we will also see that there are certain opportunities in regards to replacing these e-fuels through biofuels, so that the potential of the biofuels could be even bigger. Energy efficiency, 20%, and there are certain systemic dynamics that would represent a reduction of the final demand. All these topics we will see during the presentation and in the discussion afterwards. But as you can see, the challenge is quite big. At the bottom right side, you can see a base scenario and where do we need to go in regards to decarbonization. It's quite big. And the issue here with the international shipping sector is that we cannot limit the activity of the international shipping sector, because limiting this economic activity would affect directly exports and imports. So this is a big challenge. How do we reduce the carbon emissions without affecting the sector activity? So in regards to the pathway, the first one shows the final energy demand. And what we can see is that in an immediate or short term, not from today, but from yesterday, we see energy efficiency, but the potential is biofuels. I think there is a mic open, please, if we could mute. The potential or the solution is biofuels. Then in the mid and long term, we are talking about liquid hydrogen, fuels, ammonia, methanol. And here you have what would be the participation of each one of these fuels by 2050. By 2050, we can see that biofuels would have a participation of 10%. That's an estimation. And methanol, in this graph, it says e-methanol. It's also 10%. But of course, this is a sector that registers a big consumption. We are talking about international shipping. Up to now, it's an energy demand that it's quite big, and we will look at the analysis also on what this share of what contribution is referring to, related to Latin America. But the main solution by 2050 would be ammonia. But it's quite big. We would require by 2050 by ammonia, we would require 183 million tons by 2050. So what we see is that by 2050, we would require to double the global production of ammonia. And currently is 183 tons. We would have to double that by 2050 just for the consumption. The current ammonia consumption is fertilizers basically, but also for the shipping sector. So it's a big challenge. It's not unreachable. We can reach it. That will be another discussion. But at the same time, this challenge opens a window of opportunities for biofuels, which is what is required and nowadays. And in COP, we also heard that we need to start taking action today, not in 5 years, not in 10 years. So in this pathway to decarbonize, in the short term, the solution is biofuels, what we have. So I will start with liquid biofuels. I will very briefly go through this slide, but it is important not to focus in the first generation biofuels, which means those that that can affect availability of land, water resources, food. The type of biofuels that we work with in this analysis is the second generation biofuels, which is known as FOGs, based on used cooking oils, other type of oils composed by waste. And it's important every time we talk about the use of biofuels to look for sustainability so that we don't affect food security or availability of land or water resources. What we see, or traditionally, we talked a lot about the first generation biofuels. When we talk about the second generation biofuels, the oil type especially, it seems like there are very few, but here you have a table and there are several. You have several options. Now, of course, each one of these has potential, they have barriers, and they also present opportunities. But the criteria that we need to take into account from the shipping sector is the compatibility to be able to be used within the engines. Uh, the availability of the resources, the cost that we will also talk about, its level of technological development, but also the interest of the industry. This table gathers some of the perceptions of the industry in regards to its interest to develop these areas. Besides the first three that are there in the list, FAME, HBO, and DME, we also have biomethanol. That would be a substitute of e-ethanol. Both involve different methods, production methods. And we are going to talk about methanol also. In regards to sustainability, it's something very important to analyze what is the potential of emission reduction from the life cycle point of view of each one of these fuels. So what we can see in this table, it's a comparison between biofuels from second generation, the advanced biofuels, biomass waste, and the traditional biofuels from African palm or traditional biodiesel that is used, and also a comparison to other types of substitutes from fossil origin. As we can see, the advanced biofuels are the ones that have a life cycle that is much more beneficial, even in negative cases in comparison to the traditional biofuels. And one of the ones that has more potential is the one known as FAME, that can reduce up to 90% the emissions if we compare it to the fossils. And finally, the use of one or another and the opportunities that one or another renewable solution would have in the shipping sector finally is taken from the cost point of view. The first graph, what we can see there are the biofuel costs, the liquid biofuels. In the second one is gaseous, and the second one, methanol and ammonia. These graphs are shown in dollars per megawatt hour, and they do the comparison in the bottom lines with heavy fuel oil and LNG, liquefied gas, l- liquid and natural gas. What we can see in this sense is that the advanced fuels from these resources and from oils also, we still need to find cost competitiveness, let's say, in regards to the fossil fuels that are used in the shipping sector. These costs for fossils here are from 2019. So somehow that was the last year, the last regular year we had before COVID. But nowadays we can see that these costs have almost doubled. So currently they are even more competitive from the cost point of view, the liquid biofuels. But we still need to reach a margin so that these fuels are competitive with fossils. Now, with the resources, or in the case of the renewable resources or renewable biofuels in gas state, we can see that even in 2019, they were competing uh, quite well with fossils, with the fossil fuels that are used in the shipping sector. And we can see that biofuels produced from industrial waste, like biogas produced from waste, industrial waste, reach a cost competitive margin that is quite interesting. In the same way, biogas produced from um, animal waste, manure, and other types, this range is for biomethane. So there is some competitiveness, but mainly we need to work on the value chains and the offer chains and structures so that these biofuels can reach the ports where they will be supplied to the ships. Now, methanol, it's important. And here, these two graphs at the bottom part are mainly focused in the power fuels, e-methanol and ammonia. These are fuels that are produced from hydrogen, where hydrogen is obtained through electrolysis, where electrolysis is facilitated through renewable energies, electric power, where they break the water molecule in hydrogen and oxygen. But what we can see is that we still have a margin where e-methanol and ammonia from the electrical origin, they are still not competitive with fossil fuels. While the liquid biofuels and gas biofuels are much more competitive currently. That is why in the short term, there are important opportunities for biofuels, gas and liquid. And the decarbonization potential of ammonia and methanol that take electrical power to produce hydrogen have a bigger potential, but there is a big window of opportunities right there. What we can see in the case of methanol at the bottom left is that biomethanol already reaches very interesting competitiveness um, levels in regards to costs, while e-methanol, methanol generated from electric power, is not so we see a big potential right there. At the same time, we can see when we compare these two graphs with methanol and ammonia, we can see that methanol has a very important potential. Now, I will present this slide again. And of course, we were talking, or as I said, we were seeing that the main fuel are those fuels produced from hydrogen. So in total, we would need 46 million tons of hydrogen, 73% for production of ammonia from electrical power, and another one for methanol, and another for liquid hydrogen. So it's quite significant. It's quite significant as we can see. And this is a big challenge that the shipping sector needs to face. And as I said, this is why there is a potential and a big opportunity for biofuels. This slide right here goes into more detail. What we can see is that we have challenges for biofuels. We still need to reach a level where the cost is more competitive, but we are already talking about. And actually, next week, there will be a meeting between the International Maritime Organization division of the UN, where they will debate on the possibility of um, placing a levy to the carbon emitted by the ships. So this will be an incentive to use renewables instead of fossils. And this will help for liquid and gas fuels to be more competitive. Another challenge is the scalability challenge to produce into a bigger scale. The service stations in the main ports for the ships, and at the same time, we have the supply chain. But opportunities are very important. What we can see at the bottom right graph, this is only about biofuels, advanced to liquid type, and methanol. That even though methanol refers mainly to methanol produced from electric power, it doesn't matter where methanol comes from, it is methanol. It can be through gasification. So there is an important potential, and we are talking about between both of this methanol and liquid biofuels by 2050, we would require approximately 1.4, 1.42, 1.45 exajoules. To dimension or to facilitate the understanding of this unit, we are talking that by 2050, this sector, the bioenergy potential of this sector is similar to the final consumption demand of Colombia, or 1.5 times the final consumption of Peru. So it's very, very attractive. And we can see how after 2030, 2040, 2050, it keeps increasing and growing. And that is the opportunity, the main opportunity. But at the same time, by 2050, there is a possibility, or we would expect, that the natural gas will still have a participation in the shipping sector at the final consumption level. And that is where we have the potential that is not quantified here, but it's the compressed liquid biogas to replace natural gas. This is a very important potential, and it's bigger than even this potential that I'm presenting here, but we have the challenge of supply chain infrastructure, and this is um, if we want to take advantage of these opportunities in regards to biofuels, this is an area that we need to work on. From the geographical point of view, if we analyze the shipping routes and the important points from the shipping point of view, in Latin America, we have the Panama Canal, of course, as well as other secondary points in the Caribbean, in the Mexican Gulf. But it's quite clear that Latin America could have a very important participation right there. We can see in Central America, the Andean region, and at the same time, we have heard how Chile is part of the discussions also in regards to the decarbonize the shipping sector when we talk about producing hydrogen. So geographically, Latin America could play a very important role if we work on this area. And finally, for this to be successful and to achieve the decarbonization of the shipping sector, as well as taking advantage of those opportunities from the investment point of view, creating jobs, among other benefits linked to decarbonizing the shipping sector for the countries. This would require working in four areas. One, the development of synergies with the stakeholders, the development of public policies that are specific. One, the creation of synergies, for example, synergies between the countries, and the producers of biofuels, as well as the petrochemical sector and this energy sectors, the international shipping sector, and so on. If we talk from the country point of view, the shipping sector has a big challenge because it's only a consumption sector. When you do the energy plan in a country, you work in offer and demand, and you analyze what are the resources that the sector has, the country, the energy resources, what is the most optimal use to satisfy the demand. And the demand that cannot be satisfied, well, they do import. But in the case of the international shipping sector, they do not have resources. This is not a country. So the energy planning depends on others. The offer depends on others. The supply depends on others. So that's where we can create synergies between the countries and this sector to satisfy the demand. And this would mean investment opportunities and development opportunities for the countries that know how to look, how to see beyond that for the regional and local supply. If we also analyze the import of fuels, but renewable energies go beyond just satisfying the local demand, but also to become renewable energy exporters. For that, we need specific public policies that level the field, the action field, the development of innovation, research also, especially to analyze what is the life cycle of each one of the biofuels in regards to the greenhouse effect, and then to facilitate investment, lines of credit for it to take advantage of the biofuels and renewable energies for the shipping sector, but especially in production. And let's hope that the discussions that are happening right now in, at the level of the International Maritime Organization can bring good news for the creation of a fund, maybe, or lines of credit so that we can achieve the decarbonization of the shipping sector and to uh, boost the investment and the development in countries like in Latin America. And with this, I will close. Ana Maria, I'll give you the floor again. Thank you. Thank you so much, Gabriel, for your presentation. There is a lot to analyze in regards to these opportunities and the challenges, right? But I think this information you've given us is very important for the members of the community of practice. We have some members from the transportation work group from Let's Lag. So your presentation is so valuable. Thank you so much. And we have several questions in chat, but I would like to ask if those that have written in the chat would like to directly post the question. We have Malena, Carolina, Luis. I see that they wrote some questions. If you would like to open your mics, you can raise your hand and we'll give you the floor. Gabriel, there are several comments. Excellent presentation. Thank you. Luis, let's choose if maybe there are three people that would like to talk. We'll listen to the questions and then we'll give the floor to Gabriel to answer you back. We have Luis Barrera, Aida, and I will ask Carolina if she would like to ask her question directly. Luis, go ahead. You can open your mic. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Luis Barrera from Guatemala. This conference is really interesting. It generates so many expectations, and one of the questions was in regards to the biofuels, mainly from African palm, that since it increases another use, it could generate monocrop that wouldn't generate benefits of sustainability. And the other question is about the ammonia. If we incentivize the use of ammonia mainly in fertilizers, we are going to generate water contamination. And something that caught my attention is about the taxes, the levy. Every time we increase the taxes, the the power mass is not affected, but it's the consumers, the ones that are at the base, are the ones that are more affected. So that tax policy affects more um, and increases poverty in the world. Thank you. Thank you, Luis. Aida? We also have Ignacio. Aida? Yeah, I don't know if they are going to answer the question first. No, let's hear three questions. And then after that round, I will read those. Thank you, Gabriel, for the presentation. This is music to my ears. Really, I work on biofuels in my country, so it's very linked to what Luis said. Maybe if you could clarify, I understand that at the end, biofuels related to the shipping sector goes more towards the second generation, right? I wanted to ask you, what are the countries that are more advanced in this? What is more used? And the general process, I don't know, as a summary to get into the idea of this second generation. Thank you. Thank you very
Ignacio,
much.
un gusto
Ignacio,
tenerte por acá.
it's a
Espero que
pleasure
estés
to see you here.
bien.
Go ahead.
Igualmente, buenos días para todos.
Likewise, good morning,
Igual que
everybody.
tú,
My question
cuando hablamos de sostenibilidad,
is when we
tenemos
talk
que
about
entender el ciclo
sustainability, the
circular
three variables that are integrated, the
entonces,
economical, the environmental, and the
este
social.
modelo es
What we can see
una
here,
economía circular
it's a
basada
circular
en
economy
lógica, por ejemplo, el HBO,
with a
de pronto
Magellan
pequeño
base,
reuso de CO2
HDO, and then
económico,
a
¿no?
CO2 reuse economy. So my
Al mismo precio y
question is
prácticamente
about the
similares,
price and
pero
of course other
discutibles
variables
de
in
acuerdo
regards to the
de Sudamérica,
social,
que es una zona
especially in
productora de aceite
South America, that it's oil
con su
producer and the big impact
desarrollo social territorial. Gracias.
in the
Muchas
social
gracias.
territorial part.
Tenemos en
Thank
espera
you
a
very much.
Bielkis. Tengo una pregunta también de Malena.
We have
Pero
Bielkis
si
and
puedes,
also Malena Carolina,
para no hacerlo,
but
¿cómo se llama? Hacerte tener en mente tantos de una vez, podemos hacer
so that you don't
una
answer so many
pregunta por
questions in
cada
a
uno
row,
y así
if you
vamos.
could
Gracias.
please answer these three questions first.
Gracias, Ana María, gracias
Great. Thank you, Ana Maria.
a los tres, Luis, Aida, Ignacio.
Thank you to the three of you,
Excelentes
Luis,
preguntas,
Aida,
muy
and
buenas
Ignacio.
preguntas.
Great
Yo
questions and
quería
observations.
hacer hincapié
So
en
just to
lo que Aida
highlight
ya clarificaba ahí,
what Aida was
los
clarifying, that
biocombustibles que se están
biofuels
usando y los que se impulsa como parte del
uh,
programa sí
that
son
are
de primera generación, ¿no? Que
this is
serían
this part of this
los
analysis are not from
hidrocarburos
first generation, are
que se
those
encuentran en República
biofuels that,
Dominicana,
for example,
México
use
o
soy or
Colombia,
African palm
de insumos o de
or this
materias
type
primas
of
que repercutirían negativamente sobre la seguridad alimentaria, ¿no?
raw
Entonces, más bien
materials that,
se habla de combustibles de segunda
but
generación
we
que
talk
van
about
desde
second
los
generation
biocombustibles
fuels
avanzados, que se les llaman,
or
digamos,
advanced
aprovechamiento de
biofuels
desechos,
that use waste.
tanto de tipo lignocelulósico
Um,
y grasas, ¿no? Entonces va por ahí.
so it
Aprovecho
goes
también
that
esta oportunidad
way.
para comentar que uno de los países
Now, I would like to
que ha
comment also
avanzado
that one of the countries that is working a lot on it and is
este
working
rol
very closely with the shipping sector
biocombustibles
and
producidos a
biofuels
partir de desechos
produced
es
from
Estados
waste
Unidos.
is the
Están
US.
haciendo ahí una empresa,
There is a company there
digamos que lo viene haciendo
that
bastante bien. Claro, al aprovechar esta
is doing it a
tecnología,
lot.
se ve que sus ventas
And of course,
van
we can
subiendo
see that
bastante,
their sales are
porque
increasing
hay
a
una
lot
presión internacional bastante
because there is an
fuerte
international
para
pressure
descarbonizar este
to
sector, ¿no?
decarbonize this sector.
En cuanto al amoníaco que se
In
refiere
regards to
a
ammonia
su uso, se refiere más
and
a
its
power
use,
to liquids, digamos
that
como
it
comentaba,
refers more to power to liquids,
de los participantes.
as one of the participants mentioned.
La producción de amoníaco
The
a la
production of
fecha
ammonia
se lo hace
currently
suplir
is
necesidad de fertilizantes.
to supply the need
Haciendo
of
uso
fertilizers. But now we can see it from the energy point of view to be used as
el
fuel
transporte marítimo internacional,
for the
sobre todo
international
para
shipping
exportación.
sector as well as other
En este
applications.
sentido,
But in this sense,
digamos, el uso de
the
renovables para
power to
producir
liquids
hidrógeno por
to
electrólisis
produce
posterior a la
hydrogen through
electrolysis
electrolysis and later on to produce ammonia to be
no
used
tengan un impacto en
so that it
finalmente
doesn't have an
los
impact. And
impuestos
finally, in regards to the
los
taxes
incentivos
and
estaría afectaría,
incentives and how this would
es un
affect,
tema
this
bastante
is a
delicado
debate
ya
subject. It's a
porque
very delicate topic.
también
It's
como
been
organismo
debated
marítimo
for years
internacional lo
in
que
the
está buscando
International Maritime Organization. It will be debated once more, and they are trying to find this balance
incentivo de
so that
ciertos
this
tipos
incentive or
eso
not,
es la palabra impuesto
perhaps
contributivos
that word tax
que sea el adecuado y el óptimo
uh,
para no lastimar
so that it's
o
optimal
empoverar
and adequate so that we
porque a
don't
veces también hay empresas
impoverish
que utilizan
There are companies that use international transport services, and they have requested that this transportation is done in ships that do not issue CO2. So it's also part of the manufacturing sector that are requesting a lower CO2 print because their clients also request this. Thank you very much. We have other questions. I will read some questions that we had since the beginning. From Carolina Hernandez in Costa Rica. She's asking about the waste generated by the ships. For example, black waters. If you have thought about using this waste in biodigesters to produce biogas, what do you do with the septic waste of the ships? And there was another question from Malena Guzman, or two, if there is more information about the International Maritime Organization, what day is it, and if it's public? And also, what do you think of the initial strategy of the International Maritime Organization, if you think it has a future? There is another one from Salomon and Jorge, but let's give the floor to Bielkis and we will finish with this too. We won't take more time because we are running out of time, but we have pending the questions from Salomon, but I'll give the floor to Bielkis and in the next round, I'll ask the other questions. Gabriel, Bielkis, go ahead, please. You can open your mic. Bielkis? I don't know if he can. Gabriel, maybe if you could answer these two questions that I read, and I have two more. In regards to the use of black waters, I'm not familiarized with that. What I can say is that if we are thinking about a container uh, ship, yes, there is a production of waste, and we need to take that into account. That is well beyond the nature of Irena, let's say, because we focus in the energy part, what type of uh, residues for waste they use, but the production of black water and its bioenergy potential, I will say that it's very small. We are talking about ships that have capacities of 15, 20 megawatts, 30 megawatts. So it's 60% of the capacity, the generation capacity of an island like Grenada in the Caribbean. So there will be certain generation of black waters, but its energy potential, I would say it's low. But yeah, of course, we need to work on that area, and there are some initiatives that are working in a more comprehensive way in regards to sustainable oceans. For example, we focus in the energy side, but that also needs to be done. Yes. Ana Maria, there was another question, I think. Let me see. There was one about the discussion and the strategy of the International Maritime Organization and when the discussion is going to happen and if it's public. But I can ask the other two questions also. I understand that Bielkis, or well, there were two people with the same link. There was a confusion, sorry. But I will ask the other two questions from Salomon Diaz. If you could talk about the importance of the ports in the development of the distribution consumption of biofuel, hydrogen, etc. And from Jorge Luis Avalo, he said that I understood that when we talk about e-methanol, e-ammonia, it means that electrical power is used to produce this. What happens if electricity is produced with hydrocarbons? And Carolina is just giving a comment in regards to the black water use for biogas, for example. The potential is very little, but if not, that waste is going to the ocean. So yeah, that's true. And Felipe Di Trendi says that the model of the aircraft sector for fuel substitution is quite good. Maybe they could share good practices. So, Gabriel, I think that with that, we are taking a lot of your time, but we would appreciate your last comments. And thank you, everybody, for participating in this session. Go ahead, Gabriel.
Muchas gracias, Ana María. Interesantes las
Thank
preguntas.
you, Ana Maria. Very interesting questions. I will start with
El Organismo Mundial Internacional.
the
Este
question about
TC
the
77
International Maritime Organization, the MPE
Hay
57.
algunas discusiones
You can follow some of the
puerta
discussions
abierta,
of
otras
this
puerta
meeting. Some of them
cerrada.
are
Realmente no sé cómo
open
se
doors,
va a
some of
implementar
them are closed doors. I don't know how they are going to do it this time.
presencial, virtual.
It's in person, it's virtual. So
Me hacen una invitación cordial a revisar un poquito más. De nuestra parte estamos intentando
yeah, we are reviewing from our side. Our member countries are trying to work on that too.
a los puertos.
In regards to the
Gran parte de la
ports,
inversión, digamos, de descarbonizar el
big part
sector
of the investment to
es en los
decarbonize
puertos,
the
¿no?
shipping
Para
sector
proteger
is with the
los puertos.
ports. So that's a great
Y
question.
los puertos, y como les decía, una de las
As I
trabas
said, one of the
biogás
obstacles for the use of biogas
de descarbonización
that has a great potential for decarbonization, especially to replace natural gas.
el gas natural fósil. Una de las limitaciones
One of the limitations is the lack of infrastructure in the ports to distribute this gas.
y también
So
la infraestructura para que este biogás llegue
also the infrastructure for this biogas to reach the port, and at the same time
la habilidad, ¿no? Entonces,
scalability issues. So there are different challenges, but it's worth analyzing them because the potential is quite big.
digamos, el potencial, el mercado,
The potential or the market,
target es bastante.
the target market is quite big.
La pregunta respecto
The question about e-methanol and e-ammonia,
a power to liquids, es decir,
yeah, it refers to power to liquids,
eléctrica renovable,
renewable
la subsecuente electrólisis
electrical power
de hidrógeno
to
verde,
generate green hydrogen free of emissions, and then use this hydrogen for the production of ammonia,
y metanol.
e-ammonia, and e-methanol. The problem is that if we use
Según el origen de la energía
energy, depending on the origin or
al amoníaco y al metanol, digamos,
the source of this,
un impacto, ¿no? Digamos,
it would have
en
an
país como
impact,
Ecuador,
right? If we are talking about a country like Ecuador, that
aproximadamente
70%
30%
of the electrical power and 30% of
ese 30%
thermal electrical they use fossil fuels is 30% would be part of the carbon footprint.
de los temas,
So that would be one of the issues.
pero hay bastante potencial
But there is a lot of potential in regards to power to liquids
en Latinoamérica.
in Latin America, of course.
Me parece que esos eran
I think those were all the questions. I don't know if I'm missing
alguna pregunta.
any
Dicen, en Costa Rica
question.
podemos producir
They say in Costa Rica we can produce
100%
e-hydrogen And with renewable energy, 99.9%, Costa Rica has the Reventazón hydropower station. They have a huge potential. They knew how to take advantage of it. And the last stage of Reventazón, I think, started 2 years ago. So they have a very important potential in Costa Rica. And in several Central America countries, they have in the Panama Channel, they have a potential to become like a bunker port for all the ships. So the opportunities are very interesting from the social and economical point of view. And to sum up or finish, it's quite interesting to look at the energy planning beyond just satisfying our energy demand local or regional in the case of Central America. But to look beyond that, what are those opportunities to decarbonize the shipping sector? There or the aircraft sector, there are energies that need to be built, their knowledge from one side or the other side that can be shared between both sectors. So this is important to look beyond uh, just satisfying the local or regional demand, but to analyze how these opportunities to decarbonize uh, the shipping sector can bring social economical benefits, employment, investment. This is one of the key opportunities that we have, I believe, and we need to take advantage of it. Thank you so much, Gabriel. Really, you can see in chat that we have great comments about your presentation. I would like to really say thanks on behalf of the coordinations and the members of the community of practice. I would also like to ask if in the website maybe, or maybe here, if you could place the link so that they can access the study, we can share in the chat also that we have with the members of the community of practice. Thank you to everybody that participated today. To invite you, if you are not members of the community of practice, invite you to join. In the next few months, we are planning some other activities also related to bioenergy and transportation. So if you are in our list, contact list, Aida and the team, the coordination team, will be sending you the invitations for the activities. So thank you very much. Wish you the best. Thank you, Gabriela, Aida, Astrid, Vanessa, that has been translating. And just to let you know that the recording and the materials for this session will be available in the website of the community of practice in the next few days. So thank you so much and have a great day. Thank you. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you, Ana Maria. Thank you, Gabriel.